Yo, it's official. Like a referee with a whistle. So like and share this episode. So today I'm gonna talk about why I don't go to certain places, not even to visit. And a couple weeks ago, I talked about certain places I don't visit, or maybe I have visited, but I said I'd never go back. You know, I'm just not eager to go back. And Virginia happened to be one of those places I went to a month ago. And I didn't necessarily like it there. It wasn't a good experience. Wasn't a bad one, but wasn't a good one either. I just wasn't really impressed what I saw when I was driving across the state of Virginia on the way to my destination, which was Virginia Beach. And even when I got there, I made a stop in Chesapeake before I got to Virginia Beach. I just wasn't impressed with none of that stuff at all. You know, and I've been to other places like that, you know, in the past, and I said I'll never come back here. And I've known people that lived there, which was the only reason that I went to these places. And I also said if it wasn't for you, I probably would never come back here. I probably would have never came here in the first place. You know what I'm saying? And there's countries like that as well, where it's like I'm never going to go to certain countries. Like, I don't know, say let's say a country like Argentina. I'm probably never going to go there because I know the history of Argentina and I understand the mindset of a lot of people that's from Argentina. And I've met some of those people in America from Argentina. So I know the history of most places that I um, wanted to go to or thought about going to or have been to, you know. And see, when I was in my 20s, I wasn't like that though. I used to go places kind of in the blind, didn't do no research or whatever. Because you got to think about it like this. When I was in my 20s, you couldn't do no research like you can today. You know, the internet, when I was in my 20s, the internet as it is today wasn't like that when I was growing up. So you could not do no research. The best research you could have done is to know somebody that's from that place, from that area, wherever that may be. You know what I'm saying? That's the advantage that we have today. There's so much information about most places that we want to visit today, or take a vacation today, or move today. But say 30 years ago, that wasn't an option. You know what I'm saying? And see, here's the deal. And I've gotten caught off guard in the past. Because when you go to these small towns or cities that, everybody know each other, everybody clicking with each other. And I always say this. If things go left, you get jammed up, you're on your own. Nobody's going to be able to save you because everybody knows everybody in these small towns, damn near, either directly or indirectly. The goddamn sheriff is you know, his cousin is the damn commissioner of the school. Uh, his uh, his brother probably the mayor. Uh, the 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 postmaster is probably his third cousin. You know what I'm saying? The librarian is his wife. Yeah, You know what I'm saying? So it's that type of shit. These towns are operated by families. You know, so if you and the police that stopped you is probably his down the line cousin or some shit like that. You know, so you're at a disadvantage. Nobody knows you. You're just visiting there. Shit went left. Maybe you got stopped, you know, for no reason, but you happen to have some alcohol on you or some shit like that or whatever. Or maybe you were smoking or some shit like that. But they stop you for because they wanted to, you know, and they you got stopped. The cops say, "Hey, I smell marijuana on you or whatever, or I smell alcohol on you. You been drinking? You know, it's that type of shit, you know." And now you in jail, and they acting like they don't want to let you out or some shit like that. So, hey, when I'm gonna make bail? They say, I don't. They don't know. Your family is calling. You know, when you ask them, hey, do I get a phone call? They're like, we don't know when you're gonna be able to make a phone call. So it's that type of shit going on. They breaking all the rules, all the protocols that they have. They doing what the hell they want to do in these little small ass towns. You know what I'm saying? There's people still to this day in 2026 being lynched in America. There's black people being lynched still to this day in America across this country. And I always ask myself, how do how does it really happen? You know what I'm saying? I don't believe that um it has to be some type of setup where the black person is gets ambushed or something like that, or maybe they trusted somebody to meet up with somebody at a certain destination or something like that. Or maybe they was hanging out with a person and the other person set it up for them to get lynched. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe somebody was riding around at night looking for some trouble. Yeah. I always ask myself that shit because you know I would think that an underlying kinda, I would kind of think most black people would know better to be riding around late at night after midnight in certain areas of the country by yourself, you know, and especially if you live in states like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, West Virginia, Virginia. I mean, I would think, but I couldn't be wrong. I have been wrong. You know what I'm saying? But so I always ask, how do people get caught up like that? You know what I'm saying? They don't know no better, or maybe they get caught up. Maybe they were drunk, weren't in the right mind, they were high, whatever. I don't know, but I just never, I've never been that naive that that I'll put myself out there in a vulnerable position like that. Now I've done some things that were like stupid of me when I was in my 20s, but I ain't gonna go but so far. You know what I'm saying? I give you an example. I'm not gonna go on a lake in some place like Horn Island and I'm the only black person there and it's all whites. I mean, I'm just not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Because what's see if something happens to me, um, my family probably are never gonna find out what really happened. And see, now some people would say, "Man, man, you got good friends. You ain't got to worry about none of that stuff." Look, everybody that you hang out with is not your friend. You know what I'm saying? Um, People have well, they might be your friend, but they're not friends with you. You know what I'm saying? Some people get confused what how this world really works, especially a lot of young people. And then over a lot of young people will grow up and they'll just kiss ass. Just like some adults that's probably my age, they just butt kisses. You know, they know how this shit work, but they just don't want to talk about it or whatever. See, some people are under the assumption that okay, my white friends are pretty cool. We never had no problems. So if shit go left, they'll look out for me or whatever. And I'm telling you based on my experience and based on the experiences of other people in the past, that's not true. That's probably not going to happen. And here's why the white people are probably not going to look out for you, because there's no white person that's willing to put his reputation on the line for you, because they're afraid of what the other white people might do to them. That's how it works. That's how this really works. Because see, a lot of white people know how other white people get down, and they are afraid of what might. If they look out for you, the white person might be like, "Shit, I might be next." You know what I'm saying? So they don't want to end up like you. So they'll be like, they'll just now they might throw a little alley hoop out there, but they ain't gonna come out directly and say, "Hey, this is what happened to him. This happened on this day." No, they might say, "Hey, last time I saw him was at 3:30 or some shit like that," and they'll just leave that shit alone. But they're not gonna come out and say, "Oh, I know what happened. I'm gonna tell you the story from A to Z." Oh no, let's take Nolan Wells. That story with the dude in Mississippi went to Horn Island with what 30? They said it was three boats, 30 white people, and I think it was just him and some other black dude. So it was two black people and 30 white people, and Nolan didn't make it back. You know, and nobody else knows what happened. Nobody's seen shit. Nobody heard shit. But basically, that's what they're saying, right? Now, in a situation like this, I don't know what happened, but more than likely, that's a lie. Out of 30 people on an island where you can't drive a car, you got to catch a boat, somebody saw something. That's a lie. So that it's not that some it ain't no goddamn way. You know, nobody seen anything. But here's the thing. If I had to take a guess at um what the how this thing got started, more than likely that there was a white woman involved in some way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Nolan was smashing some white woman that some white guy, one of the white guys, was interested in, and shit went left. And see, that's a big problem. That's still a big problem, still to this day. Um, when we get close to white women, we don't even got them. Nothing has to be going on with the white woman. If even if a white woman shows interest in us, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That makes people uncomfortable, still to this day. And I always say, I've been saying this for a long time. I don't care where you go at in the world as a black man. These guys from these other groups are not going to be cool with you talking to their women. Don't let them fool you and act like they're cool with you talking to their sister, their mom, their cousin, their niece. No, that's cap. That's that's the biggest cap of them all. They are not. They'll tolerate you. You know what I'm saying? They'll do. I mean, look, in America, most guys, even amongst, even in their own groups, right? Let's say you have a buddy and he has a sister. Most of your buddies wouldn't even like you talking to their sister. If his sister showed interest in you, that would make the average guy uncomfortable. Think about that. So if that makes the average guy uncomfortable, y'all friends, y'all tight buddies, right? You're supposed to be. And if his sister shows interest in you, that's a problem. So what? So if that's the case, what makes you think that you talking to another woman in another group? Why would you think that wouldn't be a problem? If you really think about it, with all the politics that happens amongst these other people in their groups, and when you cross over into another group, why would you think that would be such an easy transition? That's called being naive. Think so. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've been naive on a lot of things, but I never been naive when it came to that shit. I mean, I knew when I was in my 20s that one of them damn parents they don't like that shit that I'm talking to his daughter. You know what I'm saying? You know, I learned this shit at an early age that that's just what it is, you know. And look, there's a book that came out called Sundown Towns by James W. Loewen that talks about the history of a lot of these small towns. Now, I bought that book like 10 years ago. And yeah, I'm gonna say probably like 10. Yeah, I bought that book 10 years ago on Amazon.com. You can get it at Barnes and Noble. Barnes and Noble has it. And this book is so deep. This book not only um and this is a white guy, by the way. This this white guy has proof, documented proof of some of the shenanigans that was going on in this town across America, still to this day. You know what I'm saying? And 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 this is towns all across America, down south, up north, because you know there's like a stigma um about like being down south. People say, "Oh, them old hillbillies, they backwards and everything or whatever." You know, but up north, man, it ain't a lot of that shit going on. Bullshit. There's sundown towns up north, still to this day. You know what I'm saying? Look, where I live, the next town over is a sundown town. I live in North Carolina. I live right outside of Charlotte. North Carolina. But the town where I live, there's a town right next door to it. It's a sundown town. You know. Now, now back in the day, now some people say, "Well, what the hell is a sundown town?" A sundown town is a town where if you were a black person there, um, you were it would be your best bet to leave before it gets dark. Otherwise, you would be killed. Yeah, and everything shuts down when it gets dark. That's what that'd be considered a sundown town. You know, today it's same rules apply. Everything shuts down when it gets dark. So 9 o'clock, everything is closed in the sundown town. By 9 o'clock, everything is closed. There's nothing open. Maybe a gas station, but the stores, all that shit, grocery stores, if they got them, all that shit is shut down at night. That's how you know you're in a sundown town. Everything shuts down. The only thing if you drive through a sundown town, only thing you will see, if you see anything, is the police or another car that's passing just like you. You know what I'm saying? And there's a good chance um, you could get stopped if you drive through some of these sundown towns. And things could go left. You know, I've been in situations like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, at the time, I didn't know that they actually called these towns sundown town. But when I used to travel a lot and drive a lot, when I was in my 20s, I had enough sense to know that something ain't right about these small ass towns. You know what I'm saying? They give tickets like crazy. You know, they have tickets $200-300 and shit. You know what I'm saying? Then they stop you for you. You got to drive the speed limit. You can't even be 5 miles over. They stopping your ass. You know what I'm saying? And then they'll tell you, they'll give you a ticket for $200-300 and be like, "Hey, you don't got to show up for court. Just send it in, mail it in." I'm like, what? You know, they stop people like crazy, and they be and when you're driving through these towns, it's easy to get stopped because you don't know where the police is at. The police is way on the side and hiding in the bushes or some shit like that, or way off the goddamn highway. You can't see him. So by the time you pass him, he already clocked you. He was in the bushes sitting down there waiting for your ass. Now that shit is illegal, but they get away with it. You know what I'm saying? That's, you know what I'm saying? They break laws all the time, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's why if shit happens, if something happens to you when you're in these damn towns, you're on your own. You don't, I mean, even if you know somebody in these little ass towns, they can't do nothing to help you. What they gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Shit. They probably ain't got no clout. They can't help you. And that's the problem. That's what I'm talking about. The risk is too high. So I just stay away. I stay in my lane. I don't go to certain places. And this applies to certain countries as well. You know, if I know the history of Mississippi, I know the history of a place like Argentina, you know, I'm not going there. I'm not playing Russian roulette. You know what I'm saying? There's certain parts of Canada I'm never going to go. The only part I've been is Vancouver. I'll go to Toronto, but other than that, I'm not going in the French side of Canada. it ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? I ain't playing Russian roulette with my life. I ain't doing it. It's just too, you know, it's too risky, especially at my age. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna play Russian roulette, you do that shit when you're in the 20s, not when you my age. No, you know what I'm saying. So, see, my parents put me on to this game early because my parents they wouldn't go to certain areas too. So they put me on this shit that, hey, stay. There's a town near where I'm from called Hemingway, South Carolina. There's literally thousands and thousands of people have gotten stopped in Hemingway by the police at night. And there's thousands and thousands of people that have went to jail in Hemingway at night. And this is the history of Hemingway. They stop, and still to this day, they stop thousands and thousands of people at night. This is why when I go home, because when I drive back home, sometimes if I have to drive through Hemingway, I will not drive through Hemingway. I will take the shortcut to avoid going to Hemingway because I've known the history of Hemingway, and I've known hundreds of people that have drove through Hemingway at night and have went to jail at night. You know what I'm saying? So this is the reason why I avoid certain places, because you're going to get railroaded and nobody is going to be able to save you or help you get out of that shit. You going to be, they're going to have your ass on the fucking hamster wheel. You know what I'm saying? By the time you get out of that shit, or a DUI or a traffic ticket or whatever the fuck they gave you, you're going to end up paying thousands of dollars for some bullshit, basically. 9 times out of 10, you got stopped. They stop you. They didn't have no good reason to stop you. They just stop you just because. And then they'll make up something. They'll be like, oh, yeah, you wiggled in the road or some shit like that. You're like, what? And you can't really prove that or disprove that. No, that's like his word against yours. That type of shit. And then he stop you, and he's all aggressive. And you smell like beer. Right? You smell like alcohol. You smell like weed. I'm like, what? Your eyes look shiny. I'm like, you can make up anything. You know what I'm saying? Then you have cops that are aggressive on the side of the road. Anything could happen. But all of this could have been avoided if you did not go driving through a town like Hemingway. And and then there's hundreds and thousands of towns across America like Hemingway. I know, like, just off the top of my head, I know at least 10 towns that's just like Hemingway. Is McBee, Hemingway, is York. I know plenty of towns that's like that. But to see, the name of the game is to avoid these types of places and avoid these types of people and avoid these types of countries. You know what I'm saying? You got to try to stay 2 to 5 steps ahead of anybody and anything. You know what I'm saying? That's, that's just a part of the game. That's how I see it. I I don't have to like it, but I deal with it as it is, not the way I want it to be. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not playing Russian roulette. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, that shit don't happen. That happened to them. That won't happen to me." Shit, I don't know. I ain't invincible. I ain't above anything. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what happened. I might have a different experience if I go to the certain places that people been that had a bad experience. Sure, but I ain't about to find out. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not playing Russian roulette with my life. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. You might disagree. You know what I'm saying? You might say, man, fuck that book. And, that's your experience. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Shit. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to go wherever I want to go and do whatever I want to do. And that's cool. You're right. You're absolutely right. You can do what you want to do and go wherever you want to go. And whatever happens, you deal with it. That's cool. I absolutely agree with you 1,000%. You know what I'm saying? But I see it like this. If I can avoid certain problems, I do it. This shit is already difficult as it is. Shit was difficult when I was born and came into this world. So I don't need no extra problems. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes to to avoid certain situations, I just won't be around it at all. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me. You may totally disagree. And you might totally disagree with everything I said today. And if that's the case, that's your prerogative. You know what I'm saying? But never say I didn't know. You can't say you didn't know. You can't say, oh, I can't believe it. No, because I told you everything that I've experienced, I've seen, I've heard, I've saw, and there's a book out called Sundown Towns, A Hidden Dimension of American Racism by James W. Loewen. And some of this stuff in the book, I didn't even know about. I thought the stuff that I've experienced and I've seen and I've heard is like on the surface. Like somebody got lynched, that's on the surface. That's kind of regular shit. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? In 2026, it still happens. But man, he goes deep. He go deep. He's talking about how you got the KKK members and you got these other groups clicked in, and families is clicked in, and the judge is clicked in, the mayor is clicked in, the police chief is clicked in, these families are clicked. He goes deep. He got paperwork on people in these towns. I ain't got no paperwork. All I have is my experiences and stories that I've heard. You know what I'm saying? So this is why I don't go certain places, not even to visit. Check out that book, man. I'll put that link below the video in the show notes. Like, share this episode. Until next time, I'm out.
Most men don't struggle with women, they struggle with who they've become. Attraction isn't luck, it's how you show up. Your habits, your mindset, your standards. When those change, everything changes. This isn't about tricks or lines. It's about becoming the man women naturally want. Love can't wait. The time to change is now. Become the best man any woman wants. Available now on Amazon. Get your copy today.